Hi again. Hi everybody. Hope you're okay. Wednesday weather check. Workbench Wednesday with me. And I'm going to start with my usual weather check. It is beautiful, glorious sunshine. We've been for a fabulous walk this morning. We're daisy sitting today, which means we're pet sitting our son's dog. Um, so yeah, she might make an appearance a little bit later. Anyway, how are you? How's your week been? Did anybody have a go at the water etching that I talked about last week? I know Joy Wignall did. I know Joy did a really super job. Hi Laura, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for popping by. Hi Joy. Freezing but sunny, Laura. Oh, it's been gorgeous here. Hi Jackie. um, yeah, so did anybody try that water etching? Joy made a beautiful piece and she's posted it on her Facebook page and all over the place. Hi Paula. So yeah, it's been great. I finished the ring and I know I was really bad. I didn't post the pictures and I said I would, but I have finished it. So I don't know if you can see it very well. I don't like to get too close to the camera because it kind of just goes fuzzy, but I did finish the ring and I popped a little bit of colour in the recesses. I used a little bit of patina, the vintage patina colours, if you know anything about those. Popped a bit of those into there, into the recesses of that one. So I will properly photograph it and I will post a picture. I'm really sorry, but things got the better of me this week and life got in the way of me finishing things as quickly as I would like. So I'm sure you all know what that's like. Things happen, don't they? Anyway. Hi Richard, hi Wiz, hi Nikki. Hey, Wiz, I know you've got something coming up this week. You've got a free tutorial thing. Do you want to post the link? Because that sounds really exciting, the whole thing. I actually registered myself to have a little look, although I've got a few things going on that weekend, but I'm going to pop in myself. But Wiz, yeah, by all means, pop that little link of whatever it is you're doing. That sounds really rude, doesn't it? I know you're doing something this weekend as a free tutorial, so post the link on what that's all about. Okay, so what have I coming up this week? So just want to share with you what I did over the weekend. I was trying something new and I was with I joined a workshop myself as a student. I went back to being like a student, which was really good because I think it's really good to get that back experience again and to know what it feels like to sit in that seat as a student. So yeah, I went back to being a student with the lovely Gemma Crow and the wonderful Laura Binding, and they were showing us some fabulous techniques with inks and doodles. Now, yes, I dabbled with ink in the past, but in a kind of different way, in a very different way. So it was wonderful to see them used the way Laura was using them. And I'd never worked with the particular paper that she was showing us, which was fabulous. So I'm just going to quickly show you. I've got them here. Now they're not finished. Oh, hang on. They're not finished by any stretch of the imagination, but I just thought I'd show you what we did. So they went through some fabulous techniques to put inks down to create wonderful patterns. Look at these. Aren't they gorgeous? Very kind of woo. I've got ideas of what I'm going to do with this, and this was another favourite. I did one that was a bit of a mess, actually. This is a mess, this one. But yeah, I can practice on that one. And this one was another one that I quite liked. So there was this one as well. Blues and greens, my favourites. And this one was very much a experiment. I kind of was being a bit of a rebel, really. And while Laura was telling us to make these wonderful sort of really soft fluffy clouds, I went, oh, I'm going to get spiky things going on. And yeah, which pushed it in a different direction, really. So I did spiky things. And then after Laura's session on creating this wonderful inks and patterns and also, oh, I loved it. Then Jem took over with the doodle side of things and starting to show us techniques. And laying things down. So I started on this one. I've managed to make quite a mess of it and stick my fingers in it and all sorts of things, and got smudges all over it, but I'm going to forge on because I've got a plan to take it a little bit further than this, but I'll show you how far I've got. So here's this one. So this one's a big explosion. I don't know which way up you want to see it, but it's like a big explosion, and it's got these fabulous sort of doodles inside of it. So that was what I was doing with Laura and Gemma, and I know it's been really popular, and they've got another workshop coming up really soon as well. So Laura, if you want to post your link on the workshop you've coming up, the follow-up from that one, if anyone's interested, Laura, please do post your link for that workshop too. Hi Pat, hi Anne. Oh gosh, wonderful to see you. Hi Malika, that's stunning, really organic, love the colours. Yeah, me too. It was the colours that really kind of made my heart sing, really. It was fab. I love adding a bit of colour to things, although, you know, I predominantly work in silver all the time, and I do love that, but just adding a bits of colour now and again, just to colour my world. Yeah, it's a really nice thing to do, which is going to lead me really nicely into what I'm going to talk about today, because this kind of technique that is what I'm going to talk across today. I've called it transferring your color ideas into jewelry. Well, it's not my ideas. Actually, it's an idea that was put out there by a wonderful artist called Helga van Leipzig, and Helga lives in the Netherlands, and I do know Helga, and she's a wonderful soul. She's very sharing. She's just a beautiful, gentle, gorgeous soul. And there you go. If anybody's interested in the link for Laura and Gemma's class, she's posted the link there. So yes, Helga's such a wonderful person, and she's been a traditional silversmith. She trained as a traditional silversmith many years ago, and like many of us, discovered metal clay, discovered silver clay, and kind of has been part of her journey as well. Now, during her experiments, during that time, she had a creative friend, an artistic friend, like many of us do, who worked in ceramics. And ceramics has obviously its own sort of techniques and skills, but this particular friend was using decals. Now, whether you call them decals or decals, whatever you want to call them, I call them decals, same thing. She was using decals on her ceramics. Now, decals, if you've ever had a piece of china that's got like a flowery pattern on it, or, you know, things that you've had at home. I'm just going to pick this mug up here. Look, big mug in front of me, and it's got this daft pattern on it here. So no doubt, I'm sure this was probably a decal that was put onto the ceramic. And this technique of putting decals on ceramic, she thought, well, if you can put these onto ceramic, could they work on silver as well? Right, okay. So Helga very generously went back to her studio and started experimenting with these decals on silver, and yes, she had some great results, or some really interesting results. And she put together a little information book and like a little trial pack that you can do yourself. So this is little Helga's information book on how this all works. It's a nice little, it's not too big, a little pamphlet that she's created. It's got all the troubleshooting tips and hints in there as well. And then you can get these little different coloured decal sheets. And they are just one solid colour. These one solid colour sheets of decals, and you can do all sorts with these. Now, you can buy this from metalclay.co.uk. It comes as a little pack, usually in a little envelope like this, and the whole little pack with the decals and the information is £16.95 from metalclay.co.uk. But you know, I've got to have a go, I've got to experiment, and I'm going to show you what I experimented with and the results I got, and some of the tips that aren't mentioned in Helga's little book, but just through doing awkward stuff myself, I just wanted to share with you what I managed to create. So these decals in this little pack are solid colours, but I know you can get like all sorts of wonderful images and patterns both on the Metal Clay website, metalclay.co.uk. They've got all these. If you go onto that website and just put in their little search box decals, and then it'll take you to that page where it's got this little wonderful trial pack, but it's got all these other decals that you can get as well, and there's some wonderful pictures of birds and all sorts of things, fabulous, which you could end up putting onto your silver as well. So it creates an image or a pattern onto your silver surface. Now, in addition to buying these decals from Metal Clay, you can get them from Warm Glass, the people that do all the glass supplies. Warm Glass, yeah, all the glass supplies. Hi Lynn, hello, hello. Lots of lovely people here. Thank you for joining me. So yes, you can get these decals from Warm Glass as well, and there's a whole host of images and patterns and things like that you can use to put onto your silver. So it just adds another interest to them. Like last week when I was talking about that water etching, and the technique has been out there for ages and ages. So was this. Helga's had this out for a long time. I haven't made this up. It's all Helga's work. But it's been out there for an awful long time, but I don't see an awful lot of people using this technique. And just with the experiments I've done, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to do this a little bit more. So I just think it's worth knowing about for anybody that's not used it or not tried it before. I'm just going to give you some of the little tips and things that I've come up with. So following Helga's instructions, you would make your little silver clay piece. Now it needs to be untextured, just needs to be flat, although it can have a little bit of shape to it. Now the samples that Helga shows in her little booklet are sort of slightly dished in shape, like slightly dished in shape. I've just done some really basic flat pieces. So you roll out your clay, Bailey's Decals and Creative Glass Guild do decals too. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Thanks for that tip. I've just done them onto some flat pieces. So I've rolled out my clay 1 mil thick, cut it out with cookie cutter, left them to dry, tidied up the edges, fired them. Okay, it's as quick as that. And fired them, but I've fired them on quite a high setting, so they fired at 850 degrees for a good hour. And then I've left them obviously overnight, and then you need to polish, really polish them really well. So no texture on here, because otherwise you're going to struggle to get the decal on. I'm not saying you won't, because it will depend on the texture you add. That's perhaps in my next little experiment, something with texture. But I found they did work really well on the flat surfaces. Now then, if you watched me do the water etching last week, you'll know I used my lovely little paper punch, my little dragonfly paper punch, and I've used my little dragonfly paper punch again. I do have a lot of paper punches, and why am I only using this one? Because it's the first one to my hand. Anyway, so I've used my little dragonfly paper punch again, and using those sheets, these coloured sheets that you can get in that little trial pack, I've punched out the little dragonfly shapes. I've done 2 different ones here. I've done another one. I've done a one with blues and greens, and I did one with reds, yellows and orange. So I've got 2 little samples. So the 2 samples, as I say, I've rolled out my clay, cut out my shape, fired them and polished them really well. And it's important you've got a really smooth flat surface here to add the decals onto. Normally these would be, you know, for ceramics, and that is a smooth glazed surface. So, you know, if you think of creating that very smooth glazed kind of surface to your silver, then that's what you need to add your decals onto. So having polished these really well, you need to make sure that you haven't got greasy fingerprints on there as well. So give them a good wash Make sure you haven't got any greasy marks on there or any residues of any polishes or anything at all. They need to be just really crisp and clean. I can't stress that enough. Just the slightest bit of grease and your decal won't stick. So having punched out, there we go, having punched out my little, I don't know what that is. I haven't punched out the little dragonfly shapes onto the piece. You then need to soak these in water. Now I had a little ramekin in front of me, and Helga advises using some deionized water, or so I just put a little bit of deionized water into a ramekin, and I've got that sitting on my little cup warmer, so the water is slightly warm. So I've had that sitting on my little cup warmer in front of me. Then I perhaps shouldn't have chosen something so little fiddly. Perhaps I should have chosen something with a bit more solid shape to it, because I have to admit the little tails broke off a couple of times as I was trying to work with them, but I did manage to put them back again. Fiddly, yeah, definitely fiddly, because of what I chose to do on these, but it was very doable. So here we go. I wanted to show you these. So this one was the blues and the greens. If I tip that down, you can see I've got 3 little different coloured dragonflies on my piece of silver there. So basically, once you've punched out your little piece of your decal shape, whatever you want to do, you can punch it out, you can cut it out, you can get some, I'm going to sneeze. Oh no, I'm going to sneeze. Anyway, no, it's gone away now. So if you get your little decal, soak it in the water, and you only need to drop it in the water so it's kind of, you don't need to drown it, just pop it onto the water so the colour is face up and the paper backing is face down into the water, and leave it there for about 30 seconds or so. And then I used a pair of tweezers, really fine pointed tweezers, picking out the little decal. I popped it onto my finger, and then with my other finger I just very gently kind of tried to push the two apart. Now it is really delicate because you're trying to get this little transfer off of the paper backing, but I didn't take it all the way off the backing. I just kind of made the first little movement. Once I'd made that first little movement and got it to slide off, then I took the whole thing onto the silver, and with tweezers I kind of slid one off the other. So if you put a little bit of water onto the surface of the silver to begin with, then you can slide your little decal around while it's still wet, so you can get the right position of where you want it to be. Again, during this process, because I'm working with tiny little punched out bits, with the dragonfly tail is so skinny and narrow, I did break it off away from the wings, but I managed to kind of get it back into the right position, just pushing it around on the water. So that worked really well. And then literally I popped that back onto my cup warmer to dry off all the water. I needed to make sure that it was completely dried, and I was looking at this before I took this to fire. I was looking at it to make sure that the decal was actually physically kind of touching the clay, touching the silver, because if there was any sort of lift or bubble in there, then it's not going to make this connection. So it's really important that you've got, you know, the piece well stuck down onto the silver. So the blues and greens worked beautifully, really, really nicely. And then I did the same thing with the red, orange and the yellow. I'm still going to sneeze. If I have a little sneeze, you'll have to excuse me. All right, so I did the same with the red, orange and yellow. And the results on the red, orange and yellow one, well, the yellow and the orange came out really nicely. The red one is really, really dark. It looks almost like muddy brown. But Helga does say this in a little booklet, that if you're going to use red, I'll just kind of quickly flick. See if I can show you this little picture here. So she's done a red here as well as a little sample. but she stuck some gold underneath it, so 24 karat gold. So basically she's done that Kambu technique of putting 24 karat gold onto the silver before she put the red on top, and then it makes the red look red, because otherwise the red goes very dark. It goes very, very dark, almost sort of black or brown. Now you can burn these decals if it's too hot. Helga recommended firing it, has got recommended firing schedules and things like that in her little leaflet, and about ramping your kiln up and all this sort of thing. I've only got my baby kiln in here. I haven't got my Prometheus, sorry, my Paragon kiln. I've only got like my little Prometheus kiln here. So I can't ramp it up. It just goes on and it'll hold at temperature. Yeah, use a piece of kitchen towel to block the decal and get out as much moisture as possible. Yes, I did that as well, Lynn, thank you. Yes, so if you have got water on your piece, then you can use a little bit of kitchen paper, and I just wick that up to a little bit of this if you've got any water on there, and you can wick off the excess water on the surface. But just popping it onto the cup warmer will do the same job. It means I'm not poking around at it, and I'm not going to nudge the decals out of place or move them. So just by popping them on there, making sure they're stuck down, drying them in your dehydrator or cup warmer or whatever it is you've got, because you're normally going to dry your silver in some way. I found that was the best way to get rid of the moisture, so that I didn't nudge them by any accidents or things like that. Can you torch this, Tracy? To be honest, Jackie, I haven't tried torch firing these. I would suggest perhaps not, because it talks about keeping the temperature very specific. In Helga's little information pack, she talks about keeping the temperature to hold at a very specific temperature. So if you're torch firing, you've got less control about how hot pieces are going. You can't actually tell. But it's an interesting question, Jackie. Maybe I'll give it a try on something else, to give it a go on torch firing. But there is a hold time and length of time for firing these decals on there. So Helga recommends, all the details are in a booklet about times and temperatures of what she recommends for firing these on here. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. It's a technique I will definitely want to use again. So here's my little 2 samples, and I'll certainly be looking at getting some more fancy pants decals. While these are just nice to experiment and play with, and you can layer them as well, so you can get you can overlap the decals and get patterns and colors and all sorts of wonderful things. Again, in Helga's, where's she got here? I'll show you this. So she's layered things up. So she's got one with a little pale blue background and a pale green background with a larger darker green on top and a darker blue on top. So you can layer them to get effects as well, and colors and patterns and things. So I think that's really interesting. So yeah, I just want to tell you all about decals. This is one that was hanging around in the pack I bought many years ago. Woo! So I'm dying to have a go with this and put it with the red as well. Look, that's going to be fun. So I'm going to have a little play with that as well. So yeah, there's lots of tips in here, and can you imagine there are companies out there that will make you decals. So if anybody's done this before, and you know of a company that will make decals, then let us know. But there are, if you do a little bit of Google researching, you could say take a photograph and have that made into a decal, or a drawing and have that made into a decal. What makes me think this will be really useful for is, people that do baby fingerprint jewelry, or they're doing hand and footprint jewelry, they're doing ashes jewelry, where you put some of the ashes into jewelry. I think this could be a nice thing to do, to maybe have a photograph of a relative or something like that you could then put onto the jewelry. Or it might not be even a photograph, it could be, I don't know, it could be anything, couldn't it? And you could have that turned into a decal, and then put that onto the surface of the silver. Interesting thought, don't you think? I think that's something that's worth looking at. So yes, I think this is something I want to do a little bit more of. And Helga talks a lot about doing experiments and making sure that, you know, you've got your kiln firing at the right temperature. I put my kiln on at 770 degrees because I kind of know my kiln. I know my kiln really well. And while Helga's recommendations are to ramp, to go up and ramp down, I didn't have that luxury of ramping up and ramping down. So I just stuck it on 770. Once I had my pieces ready, I popped them in the kiln, and the kiln was already up at temperature, 770 degrees, and I left them in there for 10 minutes. Pulled them out, left them cool down naturally, and I've got fantastic results. Now, you wouldn't want to polish these afterwards. I'm not sure whether they'd stand up to polishing. I'm sure because they're just kind of sitting on the surface, much like that Kembu texture. If you started getting some abrasives to polish the surface of these, then you might find that you start taking them off. Although they seem well stuck down, I'm giving them a good scratch with my nail here, and they're not coming off, not by any stretch of the mind. They're not coming off at all. Let's see how much. That's a file. I'm not shifting even with a file, but I wouldn't want to go with anything too abrasive. I would take a little polishing cloth. I've got sunshine cloths, so you can use little sunshine cloths to buff them up. Don't forget, you've already polished them up to a really high finish anyway, or you should have done before you put your decals on. So the polish, most of the polish is already there. So all you're going to do is give them a really good buff, to buff them up to a really nice finish. So yeah, I'll be exploring that technique a little bit more. But you know, if you didn't know about it, I think it's worth knowing. Might be interesting to see if the material cut through the crit. Oh, Wiz, what an idea. Yeah, you could have some wonderful patterns going on, couldn't you? Wonderful images. Yeah. Oh, now you've got me thinking. Cool. That's a great idea. Yeah, so stick these through the Cricut. Yeah. Like that idea very much. Let's give that a go. Pat says, I've done this with fused glass. We made vanilla bullseye coasters with our photos where we sent to a firm making decals. Oh, hang on, that's disappeared. And wanted to learn this because could see the link with jewellery. There is a drawback. The decal sheets are pretty expensive. So pretty expensive. So you need to fill an A4 sheet either with lots of different images or the same one repeated. Not all the photos are suitable because they often don't come out as you would expect. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that would be, you have to know what you're looking for. It's a little bit of trial and error, I know, when you're starting out with these things. I guess, yeah. But you can print your own and fire sepia colour. Oh, that sounds interesting. Is that something you've done before, Joy? In sepia colour. Oh. Like that idea. So yeah, decals. If you've not seen that before or heard of that before, I hope I've introduced something to you. If you have, well, yeah, if you've got any more tips and hints on that, please share. Please pop that in the comments box. Let's know all about it. I thought that was worth a little look at. So that's all my little experiments with decals this week. So I hope you've enjoyed that. What else can we have a chat about? All That Glitters last night. Did anybody watch that All That Glitters program? The new sort of bake-off version of jewellery making. What did you think about it? I know there's a lot of talk going on various social media bits. I watched with interest last night. I wanted to see what it was all about. And I will be following it. I'll be following it all the way through. But I don't think it showed the best of things. I don't think the host, I like Catherine Ryan as a comedian. I think she's She's really dry, she's really witty. I like her, but I didn't think she was great for that program. I thought we could have had someone that kind of understood jewellery making a bit more. And she made a comment, which I thought was a bit bizarre. Some of you might understand or know what I'm talking about. I felt actually quite uncomfortable when she made that comment, but there you go. And then the two judges, although I'm sure they're very well respected in their field as amazing judges, I would have liked to seen someone with a bit more enthusiasm and passion and encouragement to the people that were there, and a bit of a fun element to it. You know, it all seemed a little bit serious. I would have liked to have seen it a little bit more fun added to the whole thing. But yeah, I'm going to be following the rest of that with interest. I'm interested to see what other mediums they're going to use. So the Boris comment. Yeah, the Boris comment is what I'm talking about. If anyone's interested, please PM me. I will let you see some samples. Lynn. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Yeah, I'll be interested. So please let me see some samples if you've got any that you'd like to share with us. That would be wonderful. Yeah, I would like to see a bit more fun to that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of that program pans out. It's the first one of its kind. Well, sort of. You know, we've got the Bake Off that we've seen before and the Sewing Bee, which I love as well. And I'll be watching that because my background is in fashion design and textile. So I love a bit of sewing. So I love that. But yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more fun and a bit lightheartedness and a bit. I just felt it looked stressful for those participants. It really did look stressful. And 3 bangles in 3 hours. We're talking about making bespoke jewellery here. And I thought asking them to make 3 bangles in 3 hours was unrealistic, really. I mean, truly. But hey ho, you know, that's just my opinion. I wish they would give them projects that were more realistic time wise, and yeah, and bring back the pottery. Yeah, pottery throwdown, we love that as well, don't we? Yeah, thanks, Glenda. So yeah, the throwdown, I love that. So yeah, mixing us all up. So yeah, I've got bits of all sorts in my background too. I've got bits of sewing and bits of pottery, and but these days I follow the path of making silver clay jewellery. So this is why I kind of, you know, things stimulate in my head of different ideas I want to share with you too. Without judges, fun will no. Without judges, fun will non-jewellery stick with it. Sewing bee tonight. Yeah, I know sewing bee tonight. I'm looking forward to that. Sewing bee. Did you bring cake, by the way? Did you bring cake? Did anyone join me last week? Because I said it's my birthday tomorrow, so you should all have cake and a cuppa with you. Cheap TV. Yeah, it sort of is cheap TV, but it's, I like it. And oh yeah, the lady on the, there's one lady on the sewing bee tonight who's the lady who works in our village shop. Lady with short blonde hair and glasses. She works in our village shop. So we've been trying to plug her and ask her about it, and she won't say. Well, she won't say a word. She won't say a word. She says, "I've got a document that thick. There's my contract, and I can't say anything." So the lady with the short blonde hair and the glasses, she works in our village shop. So we've asking her all about it. So she'll be on the sewing bee tonight. Anyway, what else can I talk about? Yeah, so we've asked Gemma and Laura to post their links about their workshops. When I did that inks and doodles thing, that was so much fun. So if you're interested in doing that, they've got more workshops coming up. So yeah, she's popped the link in earlier in the feed. So if you want to go back and have a little look at that. Nadia Shields, who's again another amazing, generous soul. Her work is amazing. She's another one of the Jewellery Maker guest designers, and she has amazing wire work pieces that just blow my mind because I can't do wire work, just can't. And she also does some micro macrame, which is absolutely out of this world. So if you're interested in doing any of wire work designs or any micro macrame, go and check out Nadia Shields. She's got her own Facebook pages, she's got her own groups going on, and her website and things. She's got little workshops happening. So please go and have a look at her work if that kind of thing floats your boat and interests you as well, to try different genres of jewellery making. Joy, you've got coffee but no cake. Well, that's just shoddy. You're the you're the cake queen. Come on, get a grip, get a cake on, get Joanne making a cake. So what else can I tell you about? Coming up later this week, what else have I got going on? I've got on Saturday, I'm doing another workshop in this, I know I've done it before, in the little mandalas. So that's coming up on Saturday. It's a workshop. It's a pre-recorded video that I've done for the what's it called? Craft of Fullness Festival through Creative Craft Shows. So on Saturday, because we can't have these big trade shows at the moment, they're doing like a craftfulness workshop day. So if you buy your tickets, it's $7.99. Then you get access to all these different workshops. So there's like a jewelry den and a felt making den and a paper crafting den, and then in each den there's different people teaching different activities. And I'm doing one of the workshops on Saturday at 4 o'clock, which is this mandala. So if you're interested, go and check out the Craftfulness Festival website. Go and have a look at that. I've got a couple of Zoom classes coming up. My spinner in a spin pendant. So this takes a lampwork bead and pops it into a nice piece of silver, and it rotates. That's one version, and this is another one. So I've got that coming up on the 23rd of April. That's a Zoom workshop that I'm doing. So if you're interested in that, then that'll be on my website. So that's www.craftworks.co.uk if you want to have a little look at that. Happy birthday for tomorrow. Thank you, Pat. At least the pubs will have opened. I'm not bothered about going to the pub, I'll be honest. I'm really not bothered about going to the pub. I'm really looking forward to going for a walk. Monday morning when all the shops reopened and everything, and the thing I was gagging for is to go get my nails done. I know it's pathetic, but I was really looking forward to go get my nails done. So Monday morning I was there going to get my nails done. So I was glad about that. And then Monday afternoon we went for a swim. Now that was like swimming through treacle after not being able to swim for a couple of months, but I did enjoy it. It was lovely. It was lovely to be back in the water and swimming again. So yeah, I really did enjoy that. So tomorrow, yeah, we're having a bit of a day off, and I'm not a high maintenance girl. I don't need to go to the pub or a fancy meal or any of that. I'm really looking forward to just going to Marks and Spencer's, getting some nice sandwiches, and we're going for a picnic on the beach. We're going for a nice walk down the beach, and that's all I want to do. As I say, I'm not very high maintenance. That's all I want. Pubs and Primark terrify me at the moment. Yeah, me too. Not into it at all. I just want a nice walk along the beach and these sandwiches and bag of crisps, and I'm happy. It doesn't take much, does it? And maybe a gin in the evening. That'd be good too. So that's my week. So nails done, swim done. Yeah, nice day off tomorrow. And then, oh yeah, for Friday afternoon, because we can meet in the garden now, I've got my girlfriends that live around here, and they're coming round for afternoon tea. So yeah, I've got them coming round for afternoon tea. So fingers crossed the weather holds out and it's like today, that we can have afternoon tea in the garden. That'll be nice, won't it? So I'm looking forward to having my friends round on Friday afternoon. So that's me. What else to tell you? We've got a draw to do. So for all those wonderful people that liked and shared, look, I've got, oh, hang on, I don't want to lose any. Liked and shared. I said I was running this competition for a goodie bag. So I better show you what's in the goodie bag first of all. Let's see what's in that goodie bag. So if you liked and shared my page and told other people all about what I'm up to, giving you some little tips and things about metal clay stuff, then yeah, if you would, I said I'd run this competition to do this goodie bag giveaway. So in the goodie bag we have, here's the goodie bag. So in the goodie bag we have Pam East's Tripping Trillium texture mat. So it's a positive and negative texture mat, which I absolutely adore. I think this is fabulous. I love this texture mat. So that's going in the bag. That's going in the bag. Now there's the pattern. I'll pop that in as well. I've got 2 Craftwork stencils. So you've got this one. And you've got this one, which is clouds. Okay. So they're going in the goodie bag. You've got a set of little cookie cutters. So you've got little stars and all sorts of things in there. Little shapes. I've given you this is a large snake roller. I love this for making really long snakes. And I'll be coming on to something later in the shows to tell you about doing long snakes. I've got a set of these wonderful little diamond files, which are my favourites. My little favourite diamond files. You've got 5 different files there, a flat, a round, a half round, a triangular. So they're all going in there. You've got a little fluted cutter. So instead of a straight tissue blade, you've got this fluted one, which is really handy for things. And then you've got my little misty cutters. So these are just graduated sizes of my little misty cutters. So to show you those close up. So it's that little shape. So this I see as lots of different things. I see this as a butterfly body, as a dragonfly body, as the hands of a clock. I use it for making the body of a fairy, all sorts of things. So it's got lots of different uses, and there's 3 different sizes in there, and I call that the Misty Cutter. And then I've also put a little sample pack together of those decals that I've been talking about today. So if you wanted to have a little play with decals, you've got a couple of little colours here. What have we got? 7 little colours of the decals here. So I've popped those into a little bag, and if you wanted to have a little experiment and play with those to see if they're worth your while, that's what's in the goodie bag. So I took all the names that liked and shared, and I've put them onto little strips of paper, cut them up, and they're all in this little pot here, loads of them. So shaking it all about, I'm going to dip in, pull a name out the hat. So this is the person that's going to get this goodie bag. So the name is Joyce Monroe. Oh, hang on, Joyce Monroe. So Joyce, this goodie bag will be on its way to you. I need to get in touch with you and find out your address, or if you want to private message me your address, then I'll get this sent off to you. Yay! So that's going in there. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you've found it a little bit useful. If it's opened your eyes to something new, great. If you've ever got any suggestions of something you'd like, I know someone suggested last week they'd like some tips and hints on syringes. So yeah, if you've got any other ideas that you'd like me to share, or any tips and hints you'd want me to give out, then please just drop me a message, whether that's here in the Facebook page or a private message. Then yeah, drop me a line and I'll see what I can do. So thank you for joining me again today. It's been a pleasure to have you along, and I'll see you all next week at 3 o'clock. I am going to do another giveaway. I've got some goodies in front of me as well. So if you do the whole like and share thing all over again, so I just want more people to see this. So if you could do the whole like and share thing, and also post a little comment to let me know you've shared it. Just say thanks, I've shared, and then I'll pop your name in your hat, and I'll do this draw all over again. And I've got a whole new little set of goodies. Shall I tell you what they are? I'm going to leave you teasing. I've got a whole new set of little goodies here to send to someone next week. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you. Take care. Love you. See you all again. Bye.